Welcome, everybody, to the Sales Unscripted Podcast. My name is Brian Neal.
And I'm Margaret Henney.
Getting warm? You can't not say your name without doing hand motion, can you?
Now
I'm
like rubbing my hands together like I'm some kind of like
like
Dr. Evil or something.
Did you ever watch a $50,000 Pyramid?
Yes.
It's one of my favorite shows. Now it's like $100,000 inflation and stuff, you know. But
people are like, I'm not doing that shit for 50 grand.
Down, right? You know what I mean? They, when in
Do
the
they?
circle, they lock your hands down because you can't use your hands for gestures.
I would maybe like.
That's one of my favorite shows. I love that.
Like fembot out and just be like, does not compute. You know what I mean?
Because you
like,
can't do it. Yes.
No,
yes,
I
yes,
would
yes.
not be able to work. I would
And
be
move
like,
you have to move.
I have to have my hands.
That's so funny. Let's see. We're this is I don't know when this is going to go out, but we're doing our big huddle event. If you're a sales manager and you want to come to Indy and hang out with us, you're going to come, aren't you?
Of course I'll come.
Good. Margaret and I will be there live.
Yay.
In person. It's called Huddle, Huddle. You can go to blind-zebra.com, look for Huddle for the event. Follow us on LinkedIn, all this stuff's there. If you're a sales leader, you can actually buy a ticket. Now, our clients get to come as part of their engagement with us.
Cool.
So there'll be about 75 of those people there. Then there'll be about 35 or 40. We'll have awesome speakers.
Is it September, October?
It's September 11th. It's
Okay.
a VIP night.
Got
and
it.
September 12th is the all day in Indianapolis with hotel rooms. There's a sushi dinner at our house.
Oh,
did you come to that
Oh
last
my
year?
God, I went last year and it was so amazing.
It's pretty awesome.
Is it the
isn't
same guy?
Same guy, yeah.
Oh my
Same
God.
guy. So we have a little private sushi chef guy come in
and great cocktails.
Great cocktails, homemade craft cocktails with a bartender and stuff.
Oh my God, it's so fun.
If you want to come hang out with me and Margaret in Indy, get your tail here September 11th and 12th in Indianapolis.
Yep.
Blind-zebra.com. You can even, if you want to just email me, Brian at blind-zebra, and just put Huddle, Huddle.
Or like on LinkedIn too.
That'd be great. Any of the, all the
Connect
above.
on LinkedIn.
All the
so
above.
many different places.
Forgot to mention that last episode. So where are you going? Toronto?
Toronto.
We're going to talk about trust, by the way. This is a trust. We're going to talk about that in a second. But you're going to Toronto?
Yes.
Which is just south of Detroit, right? It's like,
which is so funny, right?
Because you went to London, you went to Spain, all this shit.
We've gone to like some really great places.
Where you going? I'm like, you go anywhere, you know, because you always go exotic places. Like, oh yeah, we're going to Toronto. And I'm like, isn't it like going to Toledo or Fort Wayne?
I know,
like,
I know. Well, so we had really wanted to go to Japan, and it's still on our list. I'm like dying to go, but we just don't have the time because I've taken too much vacation. And
you got married and stuff.
I know we've just had a lot going on between like.
Did you actually get married this year?
Technically last year, but in the same calendar, you know what I mean? Hasn't been 12 months. Yes,
gotcha,
exactly.
Gotcha.
So it's just been a lot of traveling, which has been really great, but we're like, you know what? We still want to like go on a quick little weekend trip. By the way, I guess I didn't think about this. Super easy trip. Direct from Indy, like an hour and 45-minute flight. No big deal. All of a sudden you're there.
Yes.
Here's what I'm excited about. One, first of all, I haven't been to Canada since I was a kid.
Weed. Oh, sorry.
No. You were like waiting to jump in on that. No, I haven't been to Canada for a long time. Derek has never been at all.
Oh, really?
Amazing seafood. We are huge seafood fans.
Okay.
Like oysters and mussels and like all that sort of thing. So there'll be great food. We're going to a concert.
What are you going to see?
We are going to see Childish Gambino.
Oh, wow.
You know Childish Gambino?
I have kids.
So this is like his like swan song tour as Childish Gambino before he like maybe goes to a new persona.
Oh, is that right?
Or something. Yeah. So like last time he's touring is Childish Gambino.
Really cool.
We're excited. I think
That's
it'll be
super fun.
Yeah.
That'll be awesome. Yeah, the exchange rate's in your favor right now, so that's good. And weed's legal up there, so everything is good, right?
Shut up. You make it sound like that's why we're going.
We haven't denied
it
yet. Anyway, I remember back in the day in college in the Midwest, you would go to Windsor.
Right.
Which
we dubbed the Tijuana of Canada.
It's fantastic. It really is.
Because my husband's from San Diego and they did the same thing, but they
do.
would go to Tijuana to like go out to bars and get into all kinds of trouble. Don't even say it,
I'm
Brian.
not gonna say
Do not even say it.
Everyone that lives in the Midwest that's been to Windsor knows why you go to Windsor. That's why you go to Windsor.
And it's for the
things
bars.
are different there than they are here.
It's
How's
for
that?
the strip clubs.
No, I don't do that stuff.
Okay.
No. I really don't.
But probably when
I
you
really
were
don't.
like 18.
I didn't. I've never been to Windsor. No, all my friend group went to Windsor. I did not go.
That's a thing. That's a thing.
I did not go.
People would take the trip, like whatever. I
did not go. My friends did, but I did not.
So again, the Tijuana.
I actually
of
have
Canada.
a Windsor story about one of my best friends, but I'm not going to say it on the podcast.
Okay, all right. Tell me
but
after.
I wasn't there.
Okay,
I wasn't
hold
there.
on to
Wasn't
that
it
one.
not really? It's a guy story,
Okay,
so it's like not very fun. Well, good. Have fun in Toronto. It's very enjoyable.
It'll be great.
I'm going to a concert Friday.
Oh, which one?
I'm going to be I'm going to go see. You ready?
Yeah.
It's the last tour. He was just here in Indy, July 28th.
I don't know, like Elton John?
Kind of close.
Elton John or, I don't know, Bruce Springsteen.
I write the songs that make the whole world sing. I write the songs of love and special things.
Who is that? Who is that?
Looks like we made it. Left each other on the way to another love. Come on.
I'm picturing people in their car listening to this right now, and they're yelling the answer.
Last one is they are
me.
like, how do you not know that?
I don't know.
Her name is Lola. She was a showgirl with yellow feathers in her hair and a dress cut down to there. See, I know all the words too. Barry Manilow.
Oh, Barry Manilow.
I'm going to see Barry Manilow. It's the last hurrah. I've seen him twice. He's phenomenal.
Really?
Phenomenal. And it's like his last tour. He's getting really old, you know.
Yeah. See, you got to get those.
Even if he sings over a track, I don't care.
Whatever. It's
I
fine.
want to see him. So I'm going to see him Friday.
Nice. Here in Indy.
How fun is that? No, I'll be on the road.
Oh, okay. Oh, you'll have a great time. That's awesome.
Cannot
That's
wait.
awesome.
I think I'm going to go by myself. You ever been to a concert by yourself?
I have.
Me too.
Yes. And actually, it was a great time.
It's awesome.
Like,
it takes a ton of pressure off.
It totally does.
Because you can do whatever you want. You can get a great seat.
Oh my God.
You're a single.
And and you can just kind of
awesome.
snake up through the crowd if you want to.
And you're not worried about everybody. And
Nope.
it's like you're by yourself.
Great point.
I
Big
actually
fan.
me too. And
Yeah,
people think you're weird.
No.
You know, when you're like, how many, please? One. It's like you one.
Please.
I went to see the Beastie Boys by myself.
Oh, I bet that was awesome,
oh my
actually.
God, it was fantastic.
Fun.
Fantastic. You know what it was? It was the transition from holding up lighters to cell phones. It was the first time I've been to a concert.
Did that trip you out?
Totally.
Were you
Some
like,
old
what
lighter
are they
guy,
doing?
You know. Yeah, and the kids all held their cell phones up, and I was like, whoa, this is different.
Well, okay, also for people who are like super young, you didn't used to have a flashlight on it, so you would just have to light up your screen.
You light your screen, that's what it was.
Right?
Flip phone,
and you were
flip
like,
up the razor, totally.
And now you have a flashlight that you use, but whatever.
Fun stuff. Well, I'm glad you have fun in Toronto. I'll have fun in Barry Manilow. I'll give you a full report.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah,
we'll talk about
it. You didn't know those songs? Maybe it's my singing.
No, it's not your singing. You have a wonderful voice.
But you don't know those songs.
I know the songs,
okay,
but I am not like particularly a Barry Manilow person.
But you talk about like show choir. I mean, the guy is a show choir.
That's
think about it. I mean, jazz hands and everything. He's also a jingle writer. He sings a song called Very Strange Medley in his concerts. Not as much anymore, but he used to. He wrote a ton of jingles back in the 70s that are super famous.
Just like commercials and stuff. Yeah.
You Deserve a Break Today by McDonald. You deserve,
He wrote
I'm
that?
a pepper, he's a pepper, she's a pepper. Wouldn't you like to be a pepper too?
Oh my God, I bet he made a ton of money from
like
that.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. He wrote that.
He did not write that.
Absolutely, 100%.
Well,
That's all Barry Manilow.
Is it funny that I'm more impressed with
you know,
that?
exactly.
I was like, oh my God, he wrote the State
She's
Farm.
got the bathroom bowl blues. I've been leaning to start cleaning my bathroom bowl.
Is he going to do that at the concert?
He does. Some of them.
That's actually hilarious.
It's really fantastic. Okay, we got to talk about
All right, we're talking about trust. We're talking about
exactly. Trust building
and
and sales process. What a great, it's kind of a little bit of a deep topic, but
it's
we'll
deep.
Just see where
Let's
it
get
lands.
deep,
so
man.
what prompted you to
well, okay, I brought it up because a lot of times we talk about things that are very kind of like tactical, right? Like where you are in the process. Last time we just talked about follow-up. We talk about cold calling. We talk about, these sorts of things, which I think are really helpful, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't always like to be just big picture because then it's a little too, I'm going to use a big word, esoteric. And then you're like, hey, I know, I knew you would hate
Welcome
that.
to Butler.
A little too esoteric, a little too cerebral, if you will. Shut up. Bring me my champagne.
Dr. Hagedorn, I believe this is very esoteric.
But it's true.
In my experience,
sometimes you need things that are just like
woman
very
from Monticello
concrete.
Who grew up on the lake.
On Lake Freeman. You need things that are really concrete. But when I thought about like, you're right, and something that is like always there and is fundamental to sales is trust.
Truth.
And it has to be built early.
Truth.
And it has to be earned. And you got to keep it throughout. I mean, and it's not an easy thing, right? So certainly harder earlier on, but I think it's something that people don't really talk about. They're like, hey, either we're a fit for you on the product or we're not. But it's so much about you as the salesperson and as the team.
This is one of my biggest pet peeves in all of selling.
Yeah.
So, we talk a lot about intention.
Yeah.
And this, to me, this trust thing starts with intention, because if your intention is to try to get a deal, coerce, say something to hook somebody.
Yes.
That just destroys trust right out of the gate.
You're
if
done
I'm here
from the
playing
beginning.
some sort of game. Like I'm not
totally.
If you're mentally and you're, and I love there's a lot of good people that teach a lot of good things, but I'm like so much of it is like, here's a hook, here's a campaign thing, here's a thing. It just all of it drills trust.
I will build on that. Another pet peeve of mine is when people ask a question that's like an obvious setup and they're like, do you ever experience blah, blah, blah? And they're like, well, yeah. And you're like, have I got the solution? You know what I mean? You're kind of
Totally.
like guiding them into saying something that you want them to say so that you can take it from there. There's no genuine curiosity behind that. And that kind of shit drives me crazy.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
It is. One of my clients, and this person was a client because of this. He was the CEO, and I think the rest of the group was like, we need some help here.
Okay.
He called it logic traps. You put people in logic traps. Now, love your husband. They're taught to do this shit.
Totally.
Right?
Totally.
Lawyers are taught to do this. So it's things like, wouldn't you agree it would be out of character to wear a trench coat when it's 90 degrees out, Margaret? Wouldn't you agree that's a little bit unique?
Yes.
You can't say you can't
right?
you're wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And wouldn't you agree it's easy to conceal a small weapon under a trench coat? Would you say it's a very reasonable? Wouldn't you agree with that?
Sure, I would.
See what I mean?
Yeah. And
It's
that is not discovery. Some people will look at that and they'll be like, these are discovery questions. And you're like, that's leading the witness.
on purpose.
Like,
on
that
purpose
is
to get what you want.
exactly.
Yes, that's the only reason you're doing it.
Not good
And I'm
intent.
glad lawyers do that because their intention
That's what they do.
is to try to prosecute or defend.
Right.
Period.
Right.
That's their job. But in sales, that's not the deal.
We're trying to genuinely figure out.
Yes.
I know I've said that a lot, but it's so true. Like, are we a good match for one another?
Now, at
Like,
the time.
at
to
this
me,
time.
Is the problem right?
Yes.
Is the solution right? Is the timing right? Is the money right?
Yes.
I mean, it's like that simple.
Right.
And we just got to vet that out because I want nothing to do with anything other than that.
Yeah.
I don't want, as a salesperson, I don't want to waste time on it. I don't want
Right.
to spend energy on it. I don't want to get hopes up. I don't want to waste time there. It's so clean to me in my
So
head.
building trust from the beginning has to start with you.
100%.
Right? And it's not about like, I need them to trust me. It's like, well, okay, first of all, check our intent and is it right? And are we deserving of that trust?
Yes.
Right? And if it's a no from there, you got to start from the beginning.
And I have a unique, so we both love Brene Brown.
I
Don't we? She
love
does
Brene Brown.
phenomenal talk about this subject, trust. She's just has a great, and she cites some research from some other professor that she does lots of research in her work, which I love about that too, because she validates opinions. But she does a lot about this. So this is adjacent to that. But I took what she says and I kind of paraphrase it. This is my take on trust. You as the person who is looking or wanting to be trusted it's weird. Think about this. Has very, very little control over trust. Trust is only granted.
Totally.
I own my trust of you.
Yes.
Period. End of story.
Right.
You have nothing really to do with it. I own it. Now, your behavior decides what I do with it, but I own it. You got to see that first too.
Totally.
So I can't really earn your trust. In the end, the only way I get it is you give it to me.
Yeah. Yes.
Now you may decide you see what I mean? And
Yeah.
there's a slight little difference there in how people think about it. Because I think, well, if I do these things, then she'll trust me. That is not necessarily true.
No. Yeah.
Because here's the other thing we don't realize. Some people are very distrusting and skeptical on all things because they've been burnt in life or whatever. And it doesn't matter what you do. They still don't totally trust you.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Sorry. And then you're like, you could do all the things and still not get and be granted the trust.
Yeah.
And so that's where detachment kicks in for me. Like, I'm going to do my thing the way I do my thing.
Yes.
And people are either going to decide to trust me or they're not. And that's it.
You talk a lot about being good and clean on your side, and I kind of love that language that you do. You're like, "Hey, I'm clean over here, right? If I do X, Y, and Z that I know are like that I just feel really good about."
Yes.
Now, what they do with that is ultimately up to them. That's that detachment there.
Yep,
so
totally.
Oh man, we are getting cerebral.
It's nice, isn't
I
it? Though?
love
But it's
it.
good. I know. And then I think then mechanically, you got to get clean with yourself on these things. Like, here's an example. And part of this has been work I've done over lots and lots of therapy and group work and stuff like that. Do you ever embellish the truth? Just a little bit?
Do you know me? I'm a theater girl.
You just do.
Even for stories
Even
or jokes or
100%
whatever.
For effect
Yes.
sometimes or for dramatic effect. And
Totally.
people say, God,
For
Margaret's such a
humor.
good storyteller. I love listening. She's so awesome.
Yes.
And some of those stories have a little extra in them.
Of course.
Right?
Of course.
Totally.
Yeah.
So we have to take inventory of that and decide what we're going to do with that. So if someone says, how many clients do you have? And let's pretend you have 112.
Right.
You say close to 150.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Now, is that true? No. Is it, you see what I mean? This is what we do.
Yeah.
So you've got to get clear in your own mind of how you're going to start to behave with these things. I think you're much better off to underdo that or say it's I have to fact check this. Just buy yourself out of it because you may not know off the top of your head.
Yeah.
I have to fact check it. Last I looked, I'm an educated guess. Hear me
Yes.
I'm clean. I think we're somewhere in the 110 range, but I'll fact check that to make sure.
Because
That
by the way,
builds trust.
the more you embellish those things then too, if you guys keep going on in the conversation, you have to keep remembering those embellishments, right?
Totally.
Because then if you're wrong, they're
100%.
like, now wait a minute, you said that you guys were closer to 200.
Yes.
Whatever. So that can get you in some hot water really, really
Absolutely.
quick. So just to
Yes.
do everybody like a favor, the clearer that you are, the better. The clearer and honest.
Always. And if so you all sell your software to car dealers. If I'm talking to a GM and someone says, what can I typically see in terms of lift of units within 30 days?
Right.
The best answer is 0. You're not going to get lift in 30 days. You're not going to see the scoreboard change. You're just not.
Yeah.
I wish, and I would say if I were selling Covidia, I would say, if that were the case, believe me, we charge a hell of a lot more than we charge.
Yeah,
You will
yeah.
not see lift. Here's
Right.
what you will see.
Yeah.
That kind of shit builds trust. I think people say, "Oh, we've seen all." Yeah, we definitely have seen people sell more cars in the first month for sure.
Right.
Like, man, if
Or when people say that there's no challenges or roadblocks,
Right,
it's like, no, it's super
What?
easy.
Yes.
There's never any problems.
Yes.
People take to it like a fish in water.
Yeah.
You have to be upfront about those things
Yes.
because one, whether you sell the deal or not, it's going to come back and bite you,
It
even
will.
if you do. And then you're like, oh shit, now we're in, a totally different place. And I've set them up to fail. And I've set my team up to
Yes,
fail as
yes,
well. Right.
yes.
So just making sure, and that honesty up front is going to help build the trust. A couple
Yeah.
other things I'll tell you that I do that are really important, or that
Yes.
I don't always do, but I aim to, or I try to,
None of
right?
us are perfect with this, for sure.
So a couple more tactical things though is making sure when you are having a conversation with people, active listening instead of, and everyone's guilty of this, being ready to speak, right? Where you're just waiting for them to be done so you can get on your sales talk track, right? Because you
Yes.
kind of get in your flow, you know what you want to say, you know what you want to show them. Maybe even your intent is good because you're getting excited.
Yep.
Just making sure we are being very present with them, listening to them. And I find a really good way to check this for both of you is to repeat back what you heard.
Yes.
So that keeps you in check. Like, am I actually paying attention to this person?
Yes.
And it lets them know, oh yeah, they are listening and they get it, or they can change. Like, actually, that's not quite right, Margaret. Like,
Yes.
switch up
Yes.
this and this. This is more important to us than this is. Great. Thanks for
That's
clarifying
fantastic.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really, really great. The other thing people did, I think we fail sometimes to do this. When we hear things that are yellow flags or red flags, I encourage people to say those right there. So let's say you're talking, I'll be putting your shoes.
Yeah.
Car dealer, boom, there's 20 salespeople. I'm talking to GM, then we're talk. GM says something like, well, I've got 20 salespeople. I've got a group of about 8 that have been with me for like 30 years. They're old school dogs, but they really need to try something new, and then I've got, a couple new guys that are really into it, and they got a bunch in the middle. So I'm going to go, okay, hang on a second. Let me time out.
Yep.
The old dogs, I want to explore that because I got to figure out, there's a part of me that doesn't want to even include them in the licensing for co-video.
And we're bringing this up, guys, because we're a technology
Absolutely.
tool.
Yeah,
So
they're a
that-
technology tool. Yeah, exactly. So this would be a red flag for me. Old dogs, stuck in their ways. And so what I'm not saying is like, oh, don't worry, we've got a way to handle them. I'm like, no, hang on, a timeout.
Yes.
That builds trust because I'm like, I may not go 30 seats here, or we would call license.
Exactly.
Right? I may want to pare down to more of the people to get some early response, so you're not spending burning money on these guys.
Exactly. In that case, I'd be like, hey, I'm glad you spelled this out for me. A lot of times I like to do a crawl, walk, run.
Oh, brilliant.
With something like this, you know?
Brilliant.
So, and you can just, and then they're like, okay, great. You've got my best interests at heart. You're looking out for me, and you're finding potential roadblocks and problems that they might not even be thinking about are issues. So
isn't that great? That's, to me, the trust building stuff.
Yeah.
I also want to talk about, we're never perfect.
Yeah. Oh, exactly.
Right? So you are going to lob something out there for whatever reason. Let's say, like I said, how many clients do you have? And you throw out, you're like, oh, we got 300.
Yeah, I was going to say the number 300.
We got 300. Then I go back and realize, actually, we've got 116.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back and say, hey, I want to clear something up, first of all.
Yeah.
You asked me how many clients. I said 300. I hadn't looked at that in a while. I was dramatically wrong.
Yeah.
We're actually at 116.
Okay.
So I want to clear that up super clear. That even though you got it wrong the first time, you can go redo it.
Yeah.
With good factual data that keeps trust clean.
I love it.
So there's nothing there's no hidden. You're every night your head hits the pillow, you're clean.
That's great.
Right?
I got another tactical thing that, and this is something that I try to be really good about, but it doesn't always happen because, people are busy, you got a lot to do. But I find that a really good thing to build trust is when you say you're going to do something, do it and do it in the time you say you're going to do it. So let's say someone said, hey, I'm looking for a recommendation. Do you work with anybody at like a CDJR, dealership? Can you send me their information? Totally. I got somebody in mind. I'm going to send that to you tomorrow.
Yes.
Okay. Let me check with them first, make sure it's okay. Do the thing.
Yes.
You have to do the thing. And I know that is like so obvious.
I'm bad at this.
But
I'm bad at this.
That's okay,
I
right?
know,
it's tough.
I know. I run too fast. I in my head.
And I get it because there's a lot going on. There's a lot that then you're on to the next call or the next meeting or the next whatever.
Yes.
Not even just work. We've got everything else happening. But that is something that can erode trust when we say we're going to do something and we don't do it, or we don't do it in the time that we say we're going to do it.
So true.
Yeah, I can be bad at it too.
That's really great. And that's great. No, it's good. We own this. This is the whole point of it, talking about this. If you're listening to us, you're going, okay, I'm not great at that thing either. So same deal.
Yeah.
Even the host, like, we teach best what we most need to learn. Do you like that statement?
Oh, I
it's from
like
a book.
it.
We teach best what we most need to learn. It's from a book called Illusions by Richard Bach.
That's usually
super deep.
That's usually the topics I bring up to you. So a little insight into Margaret. When I have a topic, I'm like, you're like, what do you want to talk about? I'm like, I'm going to talk about trust building.
Trust building. I'm having some issues.
Having some trust issues.
It's
Help
so
me.
Funny. I'm over trusting.
Me too.
I trust everybody.
Me too.
I really do. There's no part of me that's ever like,
Okay, so here's a question. What throws it off for you? What's your red flag, especially for someone who's really trusting? You gotta have a red flag that you're like,
100%. It's I don't know if it's trust if I put it in this camp. I get a red flag when things don't add up for me.
Okay.
So things people say, they lob out. So when they start lobbing out big facts and figures.
Okay.
And then I kind of know a little bit about the size of their company or what. I'm like, something doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Like the math doesn't add up.
Math isn't math.
So I get it. Some people are trying to like puff and big time. And I was like, bless you.
Thank
Where's
you.
the sneeze going?
God, that felt good.
Isn't sneezing awesome?
I love to sneeze.
Oh my God,
I
Sam, when it's good.
freaking love it.
Yeah, and not when it's like not a hard, sometimes a hard sneeze. I love a really good.
Well, I hate when it's there and it goes away, and you're like, God, dang.
You only sneeze once?
I'm usually a one time. Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm one time down.
That is so unique.
One and done.
Isn't it?
I know, it is.
Yeah.
I know. A lot of people are
double.
threes.
I'm two.
Yeah, twos
My
and
stepdad
threes.
is like 12 in a row.
Yeah.
He sneezes like literally like, over
I love the old
funny.
man sneezes.
It is. It's
and you're like,
oh, that's my kids, man. I'm like spraying like literally.
Calm down, everybody, on the sneeze.
I like show up on the Doppler radar.
I
It's
know.
like, what is that? Brian Neal sneezed.
Oh, I like
the
it.
northeast side. So it's not I don't trust him to do something wrong or bad. It's just that when things don't add up for me, you know what I mean? Like I'm thinking of a thing and a someone that you may or may not know them here. And I'm like, the whole time I'm like, this doesn't add up.
Yeah.
The math doesn't add up. The way it goes down, the thing, I'm like, it just doesn't, and it didn't, and I was right. And I'm almost always right with that intuition.
See, I've got good intuition for people
and
too.
So I try to trust them that I say, so far for them and their reality, it's going good for them.
Yeah.
I will likely put some sort of boundary up though there. Like if they're like, hey, we'd love to have you come in and talk to them, like, I'm not sure this environment's best for us.
Yep.
You see that?
I like
That's hard
it.
to do.
Okay.
That's what I do.
That is hard to do.
So is there anything for you that causes you to not trust people?
This is funny because this is probably something that a lot of people might accuse me of.
Oh.
I don't know. I can be very excited, very positive, but if someone is sitting there telling me like, it's amazing, this is incredible, it's the best thing ever, oh my God, they're like way too over the top, and I'm like, wait a minute here. Like there's just no level setting.
Yes.
I'm like, and I can fall prey to that too, because I do get really excited about things. But I think I'm pretty good about like looking at both sides of the coin. So when someone isn't doing that, they're a little too Pollyanna about stuff, that will send off some red flags for me.
I understand that completely.
Yeah.
That makes tons of sense. So good examination for you as the listener to think about where I land on this little trust spectrum, and what I do and don't do, and what I have control of and what I don't. And man, it all starts with us.
Yep, exactly. And it's the foundation. So like all the things we talk about here, like I just want you to know, like you got to get right on this thing. And when you do, your relationships will be so much better. And I'm telling you too, you will have so much more pride in what you do.
I know.
Like I will tip my hat to you, Bryan. I say this a lot because when you started coaching me, I had come from a weird sales environment where it was just kind of gross.
Yes.
You know, and like you can look at my LinkedIn profile, make some guesses. But I was like, ew, this is what sales is like. I don't know. This doesn't align with me and what's like my values or whatever. And you came in and you turned things around in terms of being like, you know, intention and all that. And I was like, oh my God, I can take a lot of pride and feel really good about what I do. I can do it a different way.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Way to go, Margaret. Way to go.
Thank you.
Takes two on that, so you did it.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Thanks,
that's it.
guys.
Have fun in Toronto.
Bye.
You betcha. Cheers. Hey, bye.